Poverty. When you think about poverty, what comes in mind? It's probably an image of a person who doesn't have enough food to eat, lives in a shabby home or no home at all, and they probably can't afford to buy the goods and services you normally take for granted. The complexity of poverty may surprise you. Poverty is not just about money, but also includes issues of access to services such as healthcare and education, marginalization, and exclusion.
People will always say, like for example, the villagers will say, yes, I'm cash poor, but I still have food because I'm growing food on my land, I still have fish in the river.
Poverty entails more than the lack of income and productive resources to ensure sustainable livelihoods. Its manifestations include hunger and malnutrition, limited access to education and other basic services, social discrimination and exclusion, as well as the lack of participation in decision making. In 2015, more than 736 million people live below the international poverty line.
Around 10% of the world population is living in extreme poverty and struggling to fulfill the most basic needs like health, education, and access to the water and sanitation, to name a few. There are 122 women aged 25 to 34 living in poverty for every 100 men of the same age group, and more than 160 million children are at the risk of continuing to live in the extreme poverty by 2030. In year 2015, United Nations introduced the Sustainable Development Goals and intended to be achieved by year 2030. The first goal in the SDGs is no poverty, but will poverty ever end?
Poverty will ever end. The goalposts will always shift because even as we develop as a nation, the wealth is always concentrated to a certain group of people. And there will always be income disparity between the top earners, the rich people, and the B40. So the B40 will always be there. It's just that the range of their income will be higher lah. So maybe in the next 5-10 years, the B40 group of poor would be those earning 8,000 ringgit and below.
As the years goes by, the price of goods and services getting higher and higher due to the increase in production costs, such as raw material and wages.
Continue to be inflated, prices will continue to be inflated, and things will continue to be expensive. Prices are always rising, they never go down.
As the modern technology is getting advanced every day, poverty is not only about money. Robots are doing the human work. People will soon be left out. Due to COVID-19, the Malaysian government take action to lock down the country in order to control the citizens, preventing them to have contact with each other face to face. School, college, and university were told to close. The only way to continue the lesson is by using internet.
The fact that our food aid program is cashless, so a lot of middlemen like the volunteers, NGOs, didn't need to be there to help the families with all the purchasing and distribution of food. So the families can actually go to the retail outlet themselves to choose the approved food items that they needed for their families and pay for it using their MyCard.
During these hard times, there are kindness to be found everywhere. Many charity organizations, generous neighbors, helpful strangers went out to send food, daily needs, give help to anyone that having difficulty feeding themselves or their family.
Basket, whether they want it or not, you just give it to them and say, now here's your rice, cooking oil, and sardine and all that, you just take. You never know whether they actually need it. I mean, they may have already another packet of rice at home that's like a near expiry or something. But it's nice to be able to give the poor a liberty of choice, choosing what they need for their family at that particular point in time.
Providing education is the most effective ways as those people living in poverty, mostly due to the lack of education. The increased access of education able to help students acquire basic skills such as reading, writing, and calculating. Knowledge gives children the power to dream of a better future and the confidence needed to pursue a full education, which in turn will help generations to come.
According to a research done by UNESCO, shows that education is critical to escape chronic poverty and to prevent the transmission of poverty between generations. It's important to invest in education that provides children and youth with relevant practical skills. As the saying goes, knowledge is power.
In economics, when employment increases, they will get salary or wages for a living. The quality of their living will also be improvised. This could lower down the rate of poverty and soon lead to economic growth.
Either you offer them employment or you give them like education in terms of new knowledge or skills. So for example, if the river has become contaminated or the sea has dried up, they can no longer be fishermen. What we can do as a community is to give them new skills. Maybe we should teach them about farming so that they know then how to grow their own food or sell their own food. So teach about entrepreneurship. So one of the things that we do in My Kasih Foundation, other than the welfare programs, a big chunk of our effort is focused on skills training and entrepreneurial programs, because families want to take care of themselves. They want to be able to take care of their children, but they don't know how. So the best thing to do is to try to give them opportunities to pick up a new skill, or to give them the confidence and skills to run a small enterprise or a business. Then they know that, okay, I'm good at making nasi lemak, but I don't know how to set up my stall and sell, or I'm illiterate, I don't know basic accounting. So these are the kind of things that we need to teach them. Sometimes about hygiene, sanitation, when you do food preparation, how to label your products when you sell them on market shelves, so new skills and knowledge is very helpful for them.
It was true that when you teach a person how to fish, you will be able to feed him a lifetime.
Learning skill is more important than provide for them directly, or else they will keep depending on us.
Therefore, regularly satisfying the need of those in poor will not solve the major issue of poverty entirely.
Institutionalized, that means it's like in every level of the system, of our ecosystem. Like I said earlier, there will always be a poor, there will always be a poverty group within our population. It's not going to be where everybody is going to be super well, because there is a great big wealth disparity, there is a big income disparity there. So for us, as a community, because we are not policymakers, we are not the politicians or the policymakers, we are not the employers. What we can do is either we look out for each other, provide them job opportunities, teach them new skills, things to enable them to stand on their own 2 feet and be independent. That will be good. Yeah, because sometimes they say, okay, this lady opens a stall down the road, but no one is supporting her because everyone wants to go and buy food from somewhere else, imported foods that have come from different countries. So that's why there's all this new tags saying support local, buy Malaysian. We really want to help the local small cottage businesses to flourish as well. So one of the things, like for example Shopee and Lazada, you guys are very familiar with all these online platforms. During the MCO, they were very busy connecting with local suppliers, farmers, garden produce from Cameron Highlands. All these farmers were dumping their vegetables because they couldn't sell it. So Lazada and Shopee were so busy connecting with these people to make sure that all of their food produce was sent out. So as a community, these are the things that you can do to help end poverty or make sure poverty doesn't happen.
As shown, the ways we can be doing to reduce and soon end poverty are providing more
job opportunities,
Supporting each other locally,
providing education,
and teaching them new skills.
As you see, poverty is closely related to hunger. If poverty is ended, hunger will too. Together, we can end poverty in 2030.